At the June 11th in-person visioning workshop, we asked participants to let us know where they would like to see additional street lighting, protected street crossings. So that means street crossings either with a stop sign or a signal, and public benches. And those are the stickers in green on the map. So for this activity, we're showing the map here that illustrates the feedback that we received from the first visioning session. And we want to know if you agree or disagree with what's shown here. So what is missing from this feedback map? We'll go one topic at a time to make it easier for everyone and get your feedback on what's shown here. So we'll start with lighting. Those are the yellow stickers. They represent locations where people want to see street lighting added. Is there anywhere else you would like to see street lighting added? Let us know if you agree or disagree with anything you see here and if you have any locations to add.
Excuse me, I cannot get the screen. I have no idea. I'm supposedly in Mural, but I don't see anything except login.
So Eric is also sharing the mural board in the Zoom, so you can just look at it there if that's easier. If you're unable to get into the link itself. Just in the Zoom screen, you should be able to see the map that we're all looking at.
I don't see it.
Even in your Zoom screen.
Right.
Okay. Is anyone else having that issue? Because I'm able to see Eric's screen share.
Well, nobody else is talking, so. I mean, all I see is logging into Mural. Am I supposed to do that?
So if you minimize your mural tab and just look at the video that we're on, the video call we're on, you should be able to see a screen that we're sharing in Zoom.
Um,
And then we would use the chat function to tell you.
Yep, you can use the chat function. You can unmute and tell us an intersection that you would like to see more lighting, and Eric will add that into the map.
The map only enlarges a certain amount, and then it snaps back to basically an illegible size.
Are you on the mural screen?
I entered the mural screen, but it didn't let me do anything on that screen.
And I have the same thing.
So you can enter, yeah, I'm just trying. You can enter as visitor. There's an option. You don't have to log in. There's an option right below login that says enter as visitor. And you can use that function.
Okay. And now what?
And then it should say you're visiting, like it'll give you an animal name and you can just press enter. You don't have to enter your real name.
Right. And I don't see it's very tiny. I don't see a very large.
So if you zoom in, if you scroll your mouse, you should be able to zoom into a particular board. And we're looking at one that is under the category breakout room activity.
Right.
And you should be able to zoom in to that map. But if that's not working, if there's any particular from your own experience of an intersection or a place that you would like to see more lighting, you can verbally tell us or you can put it in the chat and we'll make sure that it gets recorded.
Since I can't see exactly what you're looking at and what the various places are, I have some very specific ideas about physical location, pedestrian activity and such, but I can't see.
Okay. Do you have your Zoom screen open? Like, can you see my video? The video, like my face?
I can see your face, but that's.
And you don't see the screen next to, there should be the same map that's on that screen as well.
That whiteboard map
doesn't. I got it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Place the sticker where you want to see lighting.
All right, I see some sticky notes added. We'll give people maybe another few seconds and then move on to the next amenity.
explain again, if I'm in the breakout room and I see the map, how I record something on a sticky note or concur?
Yep. So if you actually want to add a sticky note actively to the map, you'll have to use that mural link that has been posted in the chat. If
Okay.
you want to have us record it for you, which we can do, you can either write your response in the chat or you can tell us verbally and we'll record it.
Okay. So I'm going to get out of the breakout room and just look at what's on the screen.
Oh, you don't have to leave the breakout room. You should be able to view it while you're in this room.
Well, I see both the Zoom that is on the screen where you are, if you
Yep.
will. And then next to it, I have the breakout room, but I can't make I don't know how to make the breakout room interactive.
So you can tell, we would add your response to the map if you can't access the map interactively. So if you want to tell us exactly where you would like to see more lighting, we can add it there. So now we'll talk about protected crossings. So a protected crossing is a street crossing that has either a stop sign, a pedestrian signal, or a full traffic signal. Does anyone have any other ideas of where there should be protected street crossings? So these are the orange dots that are on the map right now. That's the feedback that we got from the June 11th visioning. Would you like to add any more? Do you agree
And,
or disagree with these?
What is a protected street crossing now?
Yep, so it's a street crossing that either has a stop sign at it, a pedestrian signal, or a full traffic signal. So it's a protected way where someone can cross the street and have cars stop.
So are you suggesting we need put in another one?
We're
I mean,
asking, yep, we're getting feedback from you all who walk in the area, if there's a particular intersection where you feel needs a protected street crossing.
well, I think the intersection of Somerset Terrace and Wisconsin Avenue is a
Okay,
very dangerous intersection.
okay.
And the light is 22 seconds long, 23 seconds long, which is not sufficient.
So Tina, are you able to record that?
And the same thing is the intersection of North Park and Wisconsin Avenue.
Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna write these down and add them to the map.
Okay, here we are. Very good.
Great.
All right.
Can I ask what street that was again? I'm sorry. Um,
Are you talking to me? Somerset Terrace, Wisconsin
Sunset.
Avenue.
Okay, thank
Somerset
you.
Terrace, right, and
Yep, so I
Wisconsin.
think Eric has put that on as a
It
sticky.
has.
Yep,
It's on a sticky.
great.
North Parkwood and Friendship
Great.
Parkwell. Okay.
Okay. And we also asked about, oh, we have a chat here. Okay. Yep, we'll note these unsafe intersections down.
Right.
And I think that's being, yep, Eric is adding that to the board. Great.
Mhm.
And we also asked about benches. So these are the green dots that we see on the map. And Wisconsin Ave has a decent number of benches in the public right of way, and we're wondering if people would like to see other benches on other streets. So where would you like to see more public benches in Friendship Heights? So we'll take a few more minutes for anyone to add more lighting thoughts, street crossings, benches.
On the intersection of Somerset Terrace and Wisconsin Avenue, I think that it's the lighting, the crossing light is too short. And I think that that should be noted.
Okay. Great.
Actually, there is a pedestrian crossing at on Willard Avenue near Whole Foods, but it covers Willard Avenue, but people coming out of Friendship Boulevard, I believe it's Friendship Boulevard, don't get the same thing, and it's very confusing there.
I agree with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is at an existing pedestrian crossing, you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
It's where you press the light and it starts flashing red, and you
Yep.
get a pedestrian crossing.
Okay.
There's another one also that's been sort of rubbed off the street right at the Bloomingdale's parking entrance across Princep Boulevard.
Okay.
Hmm. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm the one who just wrote about the intersection at Willard Avenue and River Road. That's a major crossing for children from the elementary school down to Green Acres.
Yep.
And every day when they come home from school, they're gathered there with some others with strollers and kids and bikes, waiting for that crossing light to allow them to cross. And the cars are speeding through the intersection. They're going 45, 50 miles an hour. And there's just not enough time for them to cross properly. Plus, there has to be a way slowdown of traffic with either bumps or a big sign you are speeding, fines in the school zone. There has to be something. It's a very unsafe crossing. I'm there almost every day, and it's very unsafe for the children.
Okay. So this is, can you name that intersection so Eric can put that
Willard
on the map?
Avenue
Willard. Okay.
and River Road.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, we've heard about that school crossing as well.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
Any more ideas about benches?
Okay. Well, we are gonna move on to the next activity because we have a few more to get through and don't want to take up too much of your time. So we're now gonna take a virtual walk down Wisconsin Ave, starting at Bloomingdale's Plaza and stopping at various places along the way. So this activity is really focused on future improvements to public spaces. So at each stop, there will be some questions for you all to engage with. Again, you can provide feedback by speaking like we're doing now, typing in the Zoom chat, or for those who are able to access and feel comfortable, you can join the mural map yourself and add a comment. So this map is just showing an aerial of the stops that we're going to be walking along on Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, okay.
So our first stop is Bloomingdale's Plaza.
Yeah.
Our questions for you are, do you visit this plaza? Is the plaza working well? Are there any improvements you would like to see? So the image in the center of this, if you're all able to see it, that is what the plaza looks like today. The images on the right side.
Bloomingdale's is, right by the metro stop. It's that big plaza right above Whole Foods.
Yeah,
There, it's fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, I'm just going to ask you to
I'm
mute
sorry.
yourself
Yes.
quickly just so I can explain the activity and then we can definitely get into it. But the images on the right side of this are showing examples that might provide some inspiration for a large plaza like this. So the top two images are from Pentagon Row, Arlington, and the bottom one is Bryant Park in New York City. And so the top image is showing some water features. The middle image is showing an active shaded space. And the bottom image is showing a standalone retail kiosk. So we want to hear some of your thoughts about what you would like to see in the Bloomingdale's Plaza and how you interact with it currently.
I think an active shaded area would be very helpful. It's extremely hot in that area as you walk through.
Yep.
And a fountain would be lovely too. It would make it attractive. And a little bit of public art in there.
Okay.
It could be activated as Bryant Park is as well. The store fronts are forbidding and are only offering a particular kind of experience. The Bryant Park is a well-used, the commercial space in there is well-used because it looks open and is open. There's seating around it. There's shade. And it's affordable.
Right.
I'm making a sticky note, but I'll also, this is Journey. Sorry, my camera is off, but I'll also just say that this area could definitely benefit from having some kind of cafe. People do like to sit here and eat, whether they're taking a break from work or they're walking through the area, but you have to bring your own food or your own beverage from someplace else. On top of it, lacking shade. So having some kind of even like a coffee cart or a cafe that's in one of the vacant storefronts would be really beneficial. People would definitely use the space a bit more.
Right.
It's a good idea.
You could actually put a little children's area in there with fountains that they can run through in the summer and perhaps turn into a skating rink in the winter to activate it in a family friendly way.
Right. Through the seasons.
The seasons, right? Change the activity by season.
Right. Okay. Any other comments before we move to our second stop?
There was an Au Bon Pain, I think it was, on the corner there by the Capitol Grill, and it's out of business, but that drew people, and there were people sitting in that cafe outside having their lunches and so on. So when that left, it was missed. I think we should have something similar to that again.
Right.
It's an empty space now.
Yeah.
It's not clear what's going in at the former Mazza Galleria as retail, but if this space that you're showing is going to be activated, there's going to be a lot more pedestrian traffic across Western Avenue. And that's a confusing pedestrian crossing there. So you'll have to consider how to make it safe to cross in both directions. And probably activated at both ends, both the Bloomingdale end where they're and also at the intersection of Western and Wisconsin. And if you're going to activate there, then somehow there probably should be signs to let people know about the park that is further up Western, where your previous respondent said nobody knows where it is.
Right. Better signage would help.
Better signage would help. This is actually something that would be useful throughout this sector plan area is better signage.
Right.
I also felt that there is going to be some kind of open space behind the Mazza apartment. So there's going to be a walk-through or some kind of plaza back there. So as Bobby Pestronk said, there is a crossing now between the Mazza area and Bloomingdale's, but it's not very well marked. It's not very good. It's on Western Avenue. I think that should be more carefully considered to give people longer time to cross Western than it's 21 seconds or something now. That's not enough for a senior citizen to cross there.
Right.
Apparently, DC is considering turning the Lord and Taylor at that intersection into a bus garage and maybe putting a park on top of that.
Yeah.
That's going to change the whole look. And that triangular space, which I think is what Chris Nauer may be talking about, which is the parking lot and the staging area for Mazza construction. Somehow that space needs to be coordinated as another potential green space or a space for pool or a space to activate the area. And of course, there are going to be 1,000 people living in that Mazza Galleria. They need to have each of these new buildings that's going up needs to make room for their own dog park, their own play area for children, rather than simply being a high rise, which takes up the entire space. And then they're leaving it up to the public sector to provide an amenity. Those amenities need to be provided by each of the buildings.
Right.
Agree with that.
So speaking of amenities, we're going to move to our second stop and maybe a little quicker now. But this is our second stop is a series of benches near the metro station on the west side of Wisconsin. So have you ever sat in these benches? Are there other places along Wisconsin that would benefit from more benches?
You ever sit there?
Are these at the corner or where are these?
So these are near the metro station on the west side of Wisconsin.
So on the same side as the bus or
Um,
is the bus stop and metro station where there are benches, or are on the other side of Wisconsin in front of Wisconsin Place?
No, Bobby, they're next to the food court and then that Kaiser Permanente thing. They're on the other side of the street from the bus stop,
Okay.
on our
Ne-
side.
You
Ne-
can see that none of us are really aware of it.
well,
right.
that's good to know.
Right.
There's no reason to sit on those benches,
Okay.
actually.
And that's important information as well.
Yeah, Chris, I think I know. Okay, I see there.
Mhm.
This picture is showing us walking down the street with the clinic and the heights on our right. Is that right?
No.
Yes, that is correct.
On
Yeah.
our right.
It's right by the metro stop for Friendship Heights that's outdoors that has that thing over it that it's right near the corner of Western and Wisconsin on our uh, Friendship Heights side of the street. There are these little benches here that no one ever sits in.
Yeah.
So if there were benches in other locations along Wisconsin, do you think you would sit on them?
You know, it's not a pleasant place to sit.
Okay.
Wisconsin is a busy street. There's
Yeah.
honking. There's buses going by every 5 minutes. That's not Wisconsin is not a pedestrian friendly street.
Right.
Nobody would want to sit there, and nobody does.
Right.
Plus, it's not shaded.
Okay. So we have 3 more stops that we do need to get through. So I'm going to move us along to our third stop.
You know what? Just one more comment. The
yes.
retail along there does not encourage anybody to sit either. You know, it's not, people don't take stuff out. They don't go and stroll along the street.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay. No, this is good information to know. So our third stop, so this is the plaza where the Starbucks is located. How do you feel about this plaza? Do you ever hang out here? What could improve and activate this space?
It's hot in the summer and it's cold in the winter.
Okay.
And the people in Starbucks, you know, have tables for people using Starbucks. And otherwise, it's not particularly user friendly. You have to, if you're in a wheelchair or walker, you got to go in at one end because there are steps at the other end. So it's not exactly convenient. There is a nice crosswalk right out in front of there to get to the other side of the street. So that's a good feature.
But that's where benches with a shaded area would be really very nice. The kind of benches you just showed us before that
Yeah.
would be in addition to that particular area. It would break up this big long plaza.
Design that side of the street in the same way that the other side of Wisconsin is designed, with trees and benches
Exactly.
along the street.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes the people from Starbucks overflow and they come out and sit there for hours with their laptops and whatever. It's not really, there's a huge medical building, the Barlow building at 5454 Wisconsin, which is right next to this plaza. And I think, you know, there should be more benches and people who are visiting the medical facility for them to sit down and relax, whatever they're doing between appointments. And then you've got Brookville Pharmacy that's right there too. So for most of those little tables to be taken up by the overflow from Starbucks isn't helpful to the rest of us.
And I don't think you need tables. I think the benches, just like you showed us benches like the previous slide, would be much more attractive there. And what you don't want is people from, from Starbucks or anywhere else, bringing out their laptops and sitting there and doing their
Right.
work.
Right.
You know, you might consider narrowing the pedestrian portion of this and putting a cut in for people to drop people off at the medical buildings. This is a problem for the village shuttle right now. People want it to stop there, but there's no parking and no standing. So you might take that plaza, which most people don't use, make it more pedestrian friendly and accessible, and make a curb cut for cars and the shuttle to come in, and then have some way to actively patrol it so that people don't park there forever.
Right.
You're dreaming, of course, but that's great. That's what
These are
vision
good
is all
ideas.
about.
Yeah.
Right, that's very true because I see people with walkers, wheelchairs, et cetera, who are going into the Barlow building for a medical appointment, and they have to kind of maneuver their way around down the stairs if they're going by Brookville Pharmacy or over to the left where it's flatter by Starbucks, but it's not a direct entrance into the medical building, which I think is probably the most important building in this plaza is that great big medical building, and you have a lot of seniors going in and out of there. So I love the idea of benches and a curb cut and maybe even a cut in this planter area so they could go directly into their building from the taxi or the van that's letting them off, go directly more easily into that building.
Right.
Yeah, there should be an easier way for cars to drop people off too.
Yeah.
It gets all tied up there.
If you look at the rightmost picture where you see the trees down there, if that's the direction we're going, both there and then across South Park, the trees obscure the lighting that's there. And at nighttime, it's very dark. We've been talking about what goes on in daytime. It actually would be a really nice place to stroll at night, but it needs better lighting. The lighting needs to face down and not go up into the sky. And obviously, you've got apartment buildings there. They're not going to want to have lights shining in there.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Well, our breakout room is going to close in a minute. And I quickly, maybe we can just go to the one last stop and get 30 seconds of your thoughts about the Saks Fifth Avenue site. And we're just showing existing photos versus photos of inspiration and want to get your thoughts on what you'd like to see along this stretch of Wisconsin in the future. And this is something that we can continue this conversation even after this visioning session, but it's something that we want community input on future visioning.
Okay, I think that this is great, but you've also missed the whole section in front of 5530 Wisconsin Avenue, which is a traffic nightmare.
Okay.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Where is it? Oh, it's
In front of our building, the doctor's building. You're absolutely right. It's horrible. Yes.
always people double park
And
here.
unsafe.